forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews, how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown.
The murder was a planned robbery stemming from $1,500 that Ford and another dancer made visiting clients in Louisiana.
So yes, Deundra Ford has been missing since September 21st.
3 others were charged with capital murder.
Capital murderer is dead after being shot by law enforcement.
Talking about Ford, that text said, quote, "She ain't safe in Houston at all."
On September 22nd, 2023, outside of the Diva and Bikini Sports Bar and Grill, located at 11927 East Fairway in Houston, Texas, Deundra Ford, who had just started working at the business as a dancer just 2 weeks prior, would go missing, and her disappearance should serve as a cautionary tale to dancers currently in the industry, people that happen to work in the sex trade, and with the glamorization of strip clubs, young women that aspire or look at dancers or strippers that perform every night, not for the thrill, but to keep themselves and their kids from starving and eviction with admiration. And even to women in general, more details about Deundra's disappearance will come out in the months and weeks after she would go missing, involving a trail of robbery, backdoors, and homicides.
First up this afternoon, the family of a Houston woman is desperately searching for her after she went missing about a week ago.
Yeah, police say she was last seen getting into a van with a customer at the bar where she works, and those last known moments were caught on surveillance camera. Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle is live in East Houston. And Sherman, I know you spoke with the family.
Yeah, I did. Good evening, Dominique. So the last time that someone saw 21-year-old Deundra Ford was right outside of the Divas Bikini Sports Bar and Grill. And they've been calling and texting her, but no response yet. And the family says they will keep doing that until she either answers or they find out where she is.
You can't sleep because you don't have any information. They're not giving you no hope, you know. And all I just want her to do is come home.
Bridget Carrier says the family's doing everything they can to find her granddaughter, 21-year-old Deundra Ford. She was last seen on camera in front of the Divas Bikini Sports Bar off of the East Freeway near Federal Road. Her uncle, Kevin Carrier, says she had been working there as a dancer for only a few weeks. Carrier saw the bar surveillance video himself and says it shows on September 21st around 1 a.m. Deundra gets in the passenger seat of a white van outside the bar with a customer. They sit there for a little over an hour. She could be seen in the front seat.
After that, they drive off in a direction in which the club doesn't have cameras. And that's it.
A friend received a call from Deundra around 2 a.m., but they were asleep and missed it. Calls to her remain unanswered. Her uncle says before she got in the van with the customer, that same man was seen talking to another staff member inside the bar for about 20 minutes, and they seemed to know each other. The family says that interaction brings about questions.
Why is the information on the girl so scarce to come about from the club? Why is someone that this guy is interacting with, along with one of your waitresses, someone that you don't know?
Police have released very limited information on this search. The family tells us they try not to think of the worst case scenarios for Deundra, and hoping that whomever she left with that night hears their plea.
Let her come home to her family and her son. Just don't continue trying to hold her, or if you making her do anything, you know, out the way or whatever, just let her go.
It's a pretty tragic situation. She is the mother of a 4-year-old son. Now, when we got here earlier, we saw two detectives walking out. One had a small duffel bag. We're not sure of what was in it or what it was, but they have very limited information. No suspects have been identified. If you know where Deundra is or have any information that can help to solve this case, call Houston Police. Reporting from East Houston, Sherman DeSalle, Fox 26 News.
New tonight, the Harris County Sheriff's Office confirming less than 4 hours ago that one of its detention officers is facing a capital murder charge. Houston police say Jarrell Wheeler killed Otis Parker Jr. on Selinsky Road back in May. Wheeler was arrested yesterday. He's being held on a $350,000 bond. The sheriff's office says he's been relieved of duty and is cooperating with the investigation.
So in June, just about 3 months prior to Deundra's disappearance, a 21-year-old Harris County detention officer by the name of Jarrell Wheeler would be arrested on capital murder charges as he was reporting for a shift. And as he would immediately begin cooperating with the investigation and the details of his arrest would come out, it would tell a little bit about Deundra's life and also drop the first domino in this saga of deceit and death.
Tonight, a Harris County detention officer is now in jail as an inmate charged with capital murder. Jarrell Wheeler was arrested yesterday afternoon, and to the transport in jail, his cell there was a short one. ABC 13 reporter Jessica Willey live with the response from the sheriff's office. Jessica.
Yeah, Eric, Jarrell Wheeler was arrested here at work yesterday afternoon and then taken to be booked into jail just across the street. Court documents show that he left work early the day Houston police say he and 3 others planned to rob a pimp for cash.
We're going to do Wheeler, we're going to do Jarrell Wheeler. Not present.
Jarrell Wheeler waived his right to an appearance in probable cause court last night, just a few hours separated from being on the other side of the law. The 21-year-old Harris County detention officer was arrested just before his shift at the Harris County Jail on Thursday for his role, Houston police say, in the capital murder of Otis Keith Parker in May.
The defendant and his 3 co-defendants ambushed the complainant.
According to court records, the murder was the result of a setup involving Wheeler, Jamal Brown, Quitiana Taylor, and Mariah Green to rob Parker of at least $1,500 in cash. It happened on Selinsky in southeast Houston. Parker was behind the wheel of the black Hyundai when he was shot to death.
So for those following along, this is right around the time when the deceit comes into play.
After driving Taylor and another woman home from Baton Rouge with the cash the women made from dancing record state.
The unmentioned passenger that the news would speak of in that vehicle would be none other than Deundra Ford. Besides living what some could perceive as a risky lifestyle, it would be the events that would transpire after a trip from New Orleans after arriving at the Villa Americana apartments in Houston with a female, I'm sure she perceived as a friend, that would put her life in imminent danger.
There was planning and a flurry of text messages, some from Wheeler while he was on the job at the jail. Records say he texted one of the accomplices asking, quote, if he got a tool, also texting, quote, because I'm taking everything from everybody. Records say he left his shift at the jail early to be at the apartment complex for the alleged ambush. Brown was the trigger man. The 2 women fled after the shooting. In response to the arrest, the Harris County Sheriff's Office told ABC 13 they are aware of the arrest of Jarrell Tavon Wheeler, who has been relieved of duty. Wheeler was hired as a detention officer on December 6, 2021, and they are in full cooperation with the ongoing investigation.
The defendant.
All 4 suspects have been charged with capital murder and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Bond for Wheeler is a total of $350,000. The remaining 3 have warrants out for their arrests.
I think we got the deceit part covered. Now on to the deaths.
Investigators also looking for these three suspects: Jamal Brown, Kintiana Taylor, and Mariah Green. They say they are also charged with capital murder. The motive is unknown. If you've seen them or you know where they are, you're asked to call HPD or Crime Stoppers.
Capital murderer is dead after being shot by law enforcement. This happening as they tried serving a warrant to arrest him.
We know at this point it all happened on the north side at a home off of 45 and Rankin Road. ABC 13 reporter Shelley Childers has been following the story all day, and Shelley just spoke with the man's family.
Yeah, that's right. The family tells me that they are heartbroken. They thought that their nephew was going to turn himself in. I spoke with his aunt. His name is Jamal Brown. He is one of 4 people who were wanted in a capital murder case. This was the scene today after the Gulf Coast Task Force served a warrant for arrest that turned deadly. 21-year-old Jamal Brown was wanted for capital murder, accused in the shooting death of Otis Parker back in May. Brown was one of 4 people charged in the murder, the other 3 already arrested. Investigators on scene say when they arrived to make this final arrest for the case, there was an exchange of gunfire. 2 Harris County Sheriff's deputies fired shots and Brown was killed. Did you know that he was wanted for capital murder?
Yeah. We did. We knew he was wanted for capital murder, but we were under the assumption that everybody's going to turn themselves in so they can speak their truth.
His aunt tells me Brown has a 1-year-old daughter and worked as a landscaper. So investigators tell us that there were other adults in the home at the time that they went to serve this warrant, but no one else was injured in this exchange of gunfire.
So by now, what was supposed to be a little trip to New Orleans to get some money turned into some shit. A robbery, a murder, a police-involved shooting and another murder. Just crazy. And for Deundra, who by now was the only living witness in a capital murder case, it seemed like it was business as usual until she disappeared.
A quick Google search of Deundra Ford shows headlines highlighting a different crime. Have you heard of Deundra Ford?
I have. I've been following it through the media reports, and of course there were several things that stood out in my mind. First, you've got a witness in a capital murder case that's gone missing, and that always to me sends red flags up. The way she did go up missing, again, red flags go up. So it's kind of disturbing to me that nothing has been either reported on her whereabouts or what happened. So right now, just from looking at it objectively and just looking at it from just looking at the reports that I've seen, I would probably easily make the speculation that she went missing as a result of criminal conduct.
Tonight, new details on the missing Houston woman who was last seen getting into a van outside of the bikini bar where she worked as a dancer. Court documents now show that Deundra Ford, she was a key witness in a capital murder case. Fox 26's Sherman DeSalle joining us live now from the newsroom to break this case down for us. Sherman.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. As tonight, police have no new details on Deundra's whereabouts. But our newsroom has managed to find out that the 21-year-old was a witness in a shooting in May that left 1 man dead. 4 people were arrested in this case, including a former Harris County detention officer. Court documents state that on May 10th, Deundra Ford and 21-year-old Kintiana Taylor traveled to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to work as dancers and prostitutes for clients brought to them by 35-year-old Otis Parker. Parker was driving Taylor and Ford home from Louisiana with the cash the women made there, according to documents. Police say text messages from Taylor indicate she was planning a setup to rob Parker of at least $1,500 in cash when they arrived at an apartment complex on Selinsky Road early that morning. Parker was shot and killed. 22-year-old Jamal Brown, also known as Bam, was listed as the shooter, and 22-year-old Jarrell Wheeler was listed as an accomplice, along with Kitiana Taylor and 20-year-old Mariah Green. Jamal Brown was killed a month later in a shootout with police. He had been on the run from the capital murder charge. The three other suspects, including Jarrell Wheeler, a former Harris County detention officer, remains in jail.
Now, whether or not this shooting in May is related to Deundra Ford's disappearance, that's yet to be confirmed. I reached out to Ford's grandmother, who I spoke to yesterday, to get a comment, but I haven't heard back as of right now. Reporting from the newsroom, Sherman DeSalle, Fox 26 News.
In the middle of January 2023, 4 months after her disappearance, with no signs of Deundra, to anybody, including me and the media, it seemed like it had something to do with that trip to New Orleans. But after all the investigation, at the end, it had nothing to do with her being a witness in the capital murder case. But it had everything to do with her profession.
Tonight, new details in the alleged murder of a Houston mom. Police say they are charging 51-year-old Yolande Washington in the death of Deundra Ford. The 21-year-old was last seen alive at her job at Diva's Bikini Sports Bar, where family believes she was kidnapped. Troy Kless joins us live after going through several pages of court documents, and we do want to warn our viewers the details are disturbing. Troy.
Yeah, Marcelino, well, I spoke with Ford's uncle on the phone earlier today. He says that the family is really distraught right now. Meanwhile, the suspect in this case is waiting to be extradited back to Houston.
On September 22nd at Divas in East Houston is where Deundra Ford was last seen. Documents say she met Yolande Washington there, and surveillance cameras show the two going into a van together around 1:23 a.m. Washington allegedly told detectives that he paid Ford for sex. Charging documents say surveillance video showing Ford getting into the back of the van is the last time she's seen alive. Over an hour later, Washington gets into the front seat and drives away. When we spoke to Ford's family in September, they were worried.
I'm confident that something's not right. This is not her normal behavior.
Ford's phone was found the same morning, but Washington and his van were found in Virginia days later. Ford was not in the van, but deputies found blood in multiple areas of the vehicle. According to these court records, DNA consistent with the victim was found mixed with the defendant's DNA in bloodstains found on a shirt the suspect was wearing the night of Ford's disappearance. Documents describe searches at several locations in Houston, but Ford's body has not yet been found. On October 25th, Washington was arrested at his home in
Now, during
New
the
Jersey.
course of researching this sad story, I couldn't even imagine how many times she probably put her life on the line during a short 4-month span. Hey, what up though? Shay's Popalot. Salute the almighty MOBB. I definitely want to salute the subscriber that sent over this sad story too. Now today we're going to be covering a tragic tale, and I'm not saying that like most of the stuff that we cover don't have sad endings or don't end in tragedies. This one just hit a little bit harder, and it always do when you're covering somebody that's barely old enough to buy alcohol. Now, I have no clue what the years before Deundra Ford's life was like before May 18th of last year, 2023. And if it was anything like the 4 months that would precede it, it would just seem crazy, as on May 18th, according to a police affidavit, she would be asleep in the front seat of a car that was driven by someone that the media kind of pictures as her pimp, a 35-year-old by the name of Otis Parker, when all of a sudden shots are fired outside of a Houston apartment complex that ends up killing him. Now, according to that probable cause warrant that would be obtained by media outlets like USA Today, amongst others, it would say that Deundra herself nearly escaped gunfire. And that situation would come on the aftermath of what I would probably call a strip trip, where girls would go from one city to another city, maybe because it's more money in that city, it's more lenient with the rules. However, she would take this trip with the deceased now, Otis Parker, and a female by the name of Quinita Taylor. And I called her a friend earlier, and I might have used that term loosely, but when you kind of in the line of that business, you're taking a trip out of town with somebody, I'm thinking maybe it wasn't the first time or they would have formed some kind of bond, but definitely that wasn't the case in this situation, as she was the one that would set up the back door that would lead to Otis Parker being killed, with the motive being the money that the ladies would make stripping back in New Orleans. Now, the hit plot would contain a cast of characters, the most notable of them, a detention officer by the name of Jarrell Wheeler, who would actually be the first one arrested after he would report for his shift the day after the robbery turned murder. Then not long after that, another suspect wanted in the robbery turned murder, Jamal Brown, would be killed by authorities as they would go to serve the warrant for him. And this is where the story kind of gets wild for me, and probably the main reason I'm covering it, because I'm thinking like no matter what lifestyle Deundra Ford would be living, before that, just probably seeing that murder, on top of, even though she was unmentioned by the news, the people involved with the robbery knew she would be the only witness that the government would have, as it seems like they possibly tried to kill her when they ended up murdering Otis Parker. And it makes me think real hard if she really wasn't a target, because why would they leave her alive if they was planning on taking money that she made? But what could I say other than lay low? People do what they know. So she would end up taking a job at a local bar where she would dance. But even crazier, that wouldn't even be the craziest thing that she would do, as being a witness in a capital murder case and working at a bar where who knows how many people swing them doors. But it would be the choices that she would make leaving work one day. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so y'all know when this real trail spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all definitely flood me with them stories. We appreciate y'all sending them through. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what we missed, what we got wrong, all of that. Y'all tapping with me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next play, y'all know how we rocking. It's your lad Popalot. Salute the almighty MOBB.